I want to first say I'm not some fancy YouTuber who takes care of his lighting, his bad lighting, and scenery, for example, or himself even. I mean, I look like I've been spending a whole week just at home smoking weed or something, which is actually partly true. I mean, we have the coronavirus and all, so the most important thing for me is just to get my message across, to show you guys what I want to show you. I don't really care about the rest. I hope you don't either, because I know I could do better, but yeah, I can't be bothered really. So, by the way, I did do something different this time. Normally I look at the camera and talk while I do my things. It actually gives me a lot of extra work during video editing, because I often screw up. I have to cut and change everything, and it just takes up a lot of time. So this time I just went with it. Any mistakes that I made will also be included in the video. I'll be narrating it. I'm gonna start doing that right after this. And that's a first for me, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, I hope the video is beneficial for you. I hope it gives you what you want to know, and if you have any questions or remarks, please leave them in the comments below or on my website that I also linked in the comments below. So let's just get going, shall we? Alrighty then. Yeah, that was me just saying hi there. What was I doing at the time? It looks like I was at my own website actually, that holds the instructions. It's also a great starting point for you actually, to go there. You can also find it on Pastebin, by the way. The URL to the Pastebin can be found in the description below, or also at my website. What was I doing here? I should pay attention. Oh yeah, I just installed Nginx. Now I'm installing the RTMP module, which is very essential to our live streaming purposes. Right after that, it looks like I'm going to... Oh, no, wait. Oh, I'm opening... I'm letting you show that Nginx was installed and that it opens a web page, yeah. Next step, installing certbot. If I pronounce that correctly, no idea. Made a little error there. I was a little bit surprised here to see an error, because I had no idea what I was doing wrong, but that will... I think I discovered the error pretty soon. It was just a typo, probably. I'll bet you. I'll bet it was a typo. What did I type? Sudo add apps repository. Oh yeah, of course. I still had to... First I had to install software properties common before I could use the command add apt repository. So I'm installing that right now. And now we can enter the command that we previously entered. This time it won't come up with an error. Just checking, double checking, triple checking, quadruple, no, okay, there we go. Right, we added this repository for certbot that allows us to install certbot later on. We're going to do that at the same time we're going to install a whole bunch of other stuff, as you can see a little bit down the page. Also, we'll add the architecture for i386. Reason we're doing that is because we'll be installing a couple of codecs that require this. And now we're going to install the bunch. It's going to take a while. Not sure how I'm going to fill up at that time, but just chatting. I believe I went ahead and started doing something differently. Not sure. I recorded this actually a couple of days ago, so I'm not really sure. So this is just a whole big adventure, as much as it is for you as it is for me. Here it turns out that one of the packages could not be installed, so I'm just looking for this package. I didn't run into any problems later due to not installing this package. Well, fortunately. I should add actually that I was pretty tired when I recorded this video, so some things that might seem obvious for you were not that obvious for me at that moment, because I was tired. I'll have an example or two or three maybe later on in this video. just silly stuff basically. But eventually we got the job done, and that's what counts. It's actually much better to narrate this video than to try to explain it while actually doing it. Now I just can sit back and narrate my own video. Yeah, so the server is pretty fast that we're doing this on, so this doesn't take a whole lot of time, but still, to save some time, in the meantime I decided to open up a second terminal and start continuing some of these steps, like for example this one. This is installing one of those codecs I mentioned earlier. Oh no, wait, no, I'm mistaken. I'm copying a certain file that is in the Git repository, because we'll need that if we want to be able to open a statistics page for our live streaming purposes. We're going to create a little file here that needs to go into our root, website root, something from Adobe, which allows streaming from different URLs, different domains or something. I'm not entirely sure. You should Google that yourself. This is where I added a little PHP test page just to see if PHP works, if you decide to install it also later on. Here I just downloaded a little image that you will see if you're not live streaming, but somebody opens your live stream page, like a sort of poster. I advise you to create your own, because if you follow my instructions, you will download one that I've created, and I believe it also shows a URL to my website, so of course you're free to use it, but I wouldn't if I was you. This is the firewall part, installing UFW and allowing the required ports, of course 22 if you're logged in through SSH, 80 and 443 to allow people to open websites, and 1935 for the RTMP live stream. Here is when I remove some unnecessary stuff from the Nginx config file and add the RTMP module part that is required for Nginx to understand that it's supposed to accept RTMP live streams. There you go. This is a very basic, simple setup that you could use just to get it working, but I advise you to look into it and to add options so you can customize it more to your needs. I believe this is the part where I actually decide to already do that at this point. I'm not sure actually. Let's see what I did. Oh, this I remember. Correcting some errors here, because as you can see, when I typed Nginx -t, it shows that I have some errors in my configuration, so I'm figuring out now what I did wrong. I already installed the RTMP module. I'm not actually sure what I was doing here. Oh yeah, I do remember. It was just another typo. I need to add a bracket here. Pretty sure I need to add a bracket. Right there, yes. Just go ahead, place the bracket. Place the bracket. Don't be shy. Don't be insecure, just place the bracket and save the file. Place the bracket. Save the file. Place the bracket. No, not that one. Nope. Told you. Yeah. No. This is taking too long. I should cut this part. Yeah, I'm gonna cut this out. I forgot to place the bracket. Silly bracket. One typo again. It took me way too long to figure it out. So I'm just gonna cut right out to the next part. are there. But that was just in time, mate. Oh, there you go. All things good. All good. Nginx is now running and it should accept RTMP streams. Now I'm going to create a little file for our website domain that we need certificates for later on. So we can't do that with the default one. Oh wait, I'm mistaken. This is actually for default. So if I open my website on IP address, so no domain name, then this configuration file will be active, so to say, once I enter a domain name. For example, I don't know, livestream.thevps.ddns.net. Then I will actually activate the configuration that we're going to be working on after this one. This is just if you open it on IP address, which is a choice. You can also do that, but then it's harder to, or maybe even impossible. I'm not sure actually. It's harder to get working certificates if you don't use a domain name. So I advise you to always use a domain name because then you can get certificates, which allows, of course, streaming over secure channels using HLS and all that. Basically the purpose of this video. No idea what I was doing here because I didn't save. Oh yeah, I made an error right there. Hope nobody's keeping count on my errors. So I'm entering the default configuration file once again. Only this time I opened it on the location it should be opened, which is in the subfolder sites available in your folder Nginx under etc or etc. This is all not that very interesting or important anyways. Doesn't really matter what you do with this configuration file, which is called default and is also located in sites available. If you don't add any of the live stream or RTMP parts in here, it's also good. You could actually just leave the default. What's more important will be adding all this and also the SSL certificate parts in the configuration file for the domain name that you want to use. I think I decided here to skip the installation of webmin because I already did that in the previous video. And I believe I also... Oh no, I did actually choose to install PHP and MySQL or Maria database. Which of course, well, if you're installing a web server, you might as well install PHP and MySQL also, so you can do different things with it than just live stream to it. You can actually host the web page that you want to use to share your live stream at on the same server. How ideal is that? That's actually the whole purpose of this video. If you forgot, maybe. I didn't forget. No, of course not. And scrolling. What should we do next, Andre? Ah yeah, we're still waiting for the installation to complete. I see an error there, and it's something Apache related, so I already know what's happening there, because I installed a package, I believe Apache utils. It will also install Apache itself, but on port 80, Nginx is already running, so Apache is not able to start because this port is already in use. So what I'll be doing is just disable Apache completely. So it will be installed, but it won't be active or used or running. You can always choose to do, for example, you want to install Nginx on a different port, so you can actually use Apache on the same server also. It's possible if you want. Or the other way around, you want to use Apache as your main web server and then use Nginx as a reverse proxy server. And also handle all the live stream parts, also a option. Quite a good option actually, because Nginx is a master, if not the hero, in the reverse proxying. So you might want to look into that. It will definitely speed up your website, especially if you're using WordPress or something like that. I'm losing track here. This is the part where it starts to get interesting. This is where I'm going to create the configuration file for our domain that we later on will be creating certificates for. The vbs.config. Yep, made a tiny little error there again. So these are the really pure basics for a configuration file like this. The only thing we'll need is here is the domain name. It's the most important thing, and that we want to listen to requests on port 80. Because what certbot will be looking for is the domain name. So if we just add domain name here, we're good. Afterwards, of course, we're going to extend this configuration file with all the live stream parts. But first, we need to create the certificates. I believe that's what we're going to do here. First, of course, we have to enable this website by creating a sim link from the folder sites enabled to sites available. Or the other way around, I mean, sorry, from sites available to sites enabled, of course. Obviously. Here, another error. What I did here was I used the default server tag too many times, so I need to remove it from either the default config file or this one. I chose to remove it from this one. You can only have one default server configuration file. What that does, if you open a website that is pointing to your IP address and it's not able to find this domain in your web server's configuration, then it will show that page that you choose as default server. So just so you know. Right, live streaming should be up and running now, and I believe I'm going to test that right here to check and see if it works. I'm going to do that in OBS, which was actually the same program that I used to record this, so I'm recording and live streaming at the same time when I'm doing this. Not that it matters, it's just for your info. That's the address. So /live /stream. If I recall, I'm actually going to show you that it works. I'm not sure right now because I'm scrolling. Let's just see what I'm doing, what I was doing. Oh yeah, I'm starting the creation of this DH parameters or whatever .pem file because that's going to take a pretty long time. Maybe 10, maybe 15 minutes. So while that's running in the background, I think I was going to show you guys that live streaming part is working. Yeah. As you can see, I'm scrolling up and down the page a little bit. That's because I was impatient and didn't want to wait on certain things to complete and decided to continue the rest of the guide. That might make it seem a little bit incoherent, or how do you say that in proper English? I don't know. At this time, but if you just follow the guide step by step, you'll be fine. Whoa, what's this? That's what happens if you stream from the same window that you also open OBS on. It's like an Inception thingy. I have no idea what I was doing here. I think I was just preparing what was coming next after I was done waiting until the certificate down there was finished, creating. Oh, this is where I actually create the certificate for the domain. You have to enter an email address here, so I decided to do that. Not in the video, I believe. Yep, I moved that one to a different window, entered my IP address, and then you get another confirmation and I believe one or two more questions that are you just enter them by default or say yes or whatever. But I didn't show them in video because it showed my email address and I don't think that's necessary. If you want my email address, just ask me. Just ask me. Be polite. Just ask me. Hey Andre, can I have your email address? Sure. And then I'll give it to you. This is the last step of the certificate creations. I decided not to do the auto redirect because you can always do that manually later on, and if things don't work, you'll only get into more trouble easily. So choose not to do so and then add it manually later is my advice for you also. There you see that the certificates have been created and the locations of them also. I copied one of them, I believe. This part will add a cron tab so all certificates get refreshed or renewed in time, so you don't have to keep an eye on that. It will all go automatically, meaning that you will always have a working certificate without any hassle. Which is nice, isn't it? Isn't it nice? Next step. As you can see, certbot added the required certificate entries in your configuration file automatically. I want to expand on those because why actually? Oh yeah, if you want to get a plus reading for your certificates, you have to add these lines. And I'm the kind of person, if I decide to do something like this, I want to do it as it should, properly, correctly. So I need those A++ certificate requirements, of course. You could just skip those actually if you don't care about that. Actually creating the certificate in the back where the dots are going, you know, which is still running in the background. You don't have to do that either if you don't care about your ratings for your certificates. But if you want to have A++, you'll need it. I forgot to explain that a little earlier. So while that's happening, I think I'm just trying to figure out in the video at that time what I was going to do next. Yeah, here's where I'm just checking if certbot added all the required lines it should have, which I expected them to add. Oh yeah, one line we need to add manually because certbot won't do it is to add this one to the chain.pem file. That one. And this one has been added by certbot, but we're going to change it to the one we are creating because it's a higher, how do you say that? I have no idea how to say that in English. I believe, but don't pin me on this, I believe if I would say that it is a higher encrypted file than the default was, that I'm saying it correctly, because I used 4096. But don't pin me down on it, because I have no clue, really. Just guessing here. All I do know is that it's required to get my A++ rating. Yep. This is where I just add a whole bunch of stuff. I really advise you to go through every line and to see if it's to your needs. But keep in mind that most of these things are actually required for it to get it all to work. There's a lot of anti-caching stuff, and that's done so the HLS will not cache any files that it finds at the location where it's searching for the how do you say that? The video parts to build up the HLS stream, by lack of better words at the moment. You don't want that to be cached, so that's why we're adding those things. What else? We're very specific here to which SSL certificates will allow, meaning 1.2, 1.3. Also, we're very specific in which SSL ciphers we're allowing. All these are requirements for our A++ rating. As you can see, I ran into another error here, and that's because this was actually, I had to find this out when I was recording because I didn't realize it was working this way these days. But if you create certificates using certbot the way we did, it will also create a configuration file in its own folder. So that means etc let's encrypt dash something, and it will be included in your Nginx configuration. Now that configuration file held several lines that I already added manually to our main configuration file. So those were in conflict because you can only add one of those, one line per option, so to say. So those were duplicates. Now I had to find out how these duplicates came in there, and that's what I was doing here. I was just looking for the file that was included, and eventually I found it. So I disabled all the options in that file. What I could also have done is remove the inclusion of that configuration file, but I thought, well, certbot handled all that things automatically, so I'll just leave it as certbot left it, and just disable those lines in the automatically created configuration file manually by commenting them out. So this is still the part where I'm still searching and trying out some things. Maybe it's not so interesting to show this. Maybe I'll just cut this part right ahead to where I fixed it. Yeah, I should do that. This is actually the part where I can hear myself thinking. No, never mind. I was trying to make a joke, didn't work out. When you look real closely, you can see at the webcam image, just on top of my head, you can see some fumes coming out. Because I was getting a little bit frustrated that I couldn't find what was going on. Yeah, still looking in the wrong configuration file, dude. Yep, you already checked those. As I told you earlier, I was really tired. It was the middle of the night, I believe. Oh yeah, as you can see in the clock, it was almost 20 minutes past 4 at night. No idea why I decided to record it at that time, but does it matter? It does not. I believe I'm almost ready to see the light here, to see what's actually going wrong here. WinSCP always to the rescue. It's more visual, so for me that works. Anyways, I believe this is the point where I noticed line 14 in the config that says include this configuration file. I hadn't noticed it before. Once I did, I of course knew I had to find this configuration file and comment some things out. Yeah, I may cut this part actually, or I may leave it in, I'm not sure. Seeing that I'm pretty lazy, I might just leave it in. Still not seeing it. But then again, what else was I gonna do? Well, we still had to wait for the creation of the certificate in the background. You know, those dots running. Yep, still going. Still busy creating my PM file. Oh, come on, check out line 14 already. No. Yeah, so I'm not sure. There we go. I found it. I found it. My God. Took me long enough, didn't it? So what I did here is check out that configuration file first that I just noticed that got included, and indeed it mentions the same things that I already manually added to the main configuration file. So right there and there, then I decided to comment all these out. First I double checked if they're all in there, and I undid the changes I just made earlier while I was troubleshooting the problem. So no duplicates. No duplicates, please. All of them duplicates, even the SSL ciphers. Just checking. Okay, so there was one option that was not in my configuration file that was in the automatically generated one, so I'm adding it now to my... Oh, it was already in there. Never mind, I didn't say a word. Forget what I just said. Comment them out, all of them. Now, it actually doesn't make sense that Nginx asks to include this configuration file while basically there's nothing in it because everything is commented out. I know that doesn't make any sense. I could have done that better, but I didn't. So there you go. Next time I'll run into this problem or issue, I'll just comment out the one line in the main configuration file that asks to include the other one. But like I said, it was late. I wasn't thinking. Still, we got the job done. And if you're listening to this narration, you'll get how I got there. You can make your own choice. Right, final steps. We're going to install VideoJS, which will allow our live stream to be played in a web page. We decided to do it this way because there's like 1,000 or a gazillion ways to install VideoJS. I think the most commonly used these days is just to use the cloud version that they offer. You only need to include one line that refers to their cloud version of VideoJS. But I may be old-fashioned, or I don't know, but I prefer to have the files on my web server that I can refer to. Now, should have these files in your VideoJS folder. Now let's create a index.html file. First we're going to copy the original one to a backup or whatever file, and then we'll go create a new index.html file. This one include a couple of lines, these, and edit them, of course, to suit your needs, like I did here. For some reason it says here port 8089. You can just leave that out. And of course change the VPS in your own domain name. By the way, if you get any weird ideas, this domain name will be decommissioned as soon as I'm done recording this video. Or maybe I'll just leave it active and point it to 127.0.0.1 just for fun. I don't know why I find that funny. Because I'm a bit of a nerd, perhaps. Right. This is almost like therapeutical, watching me change these characters one by one, slowly but surely. It's just to show that you have to manually edit a couple of lines so it will suit your needs, and that's the last one, I believe. Yeah. Save this file. And then you're done with the last step, I believe. You're ready to live stream to your own webpage through RTMP over a secured HLS SSL connection. Yeah. Which actually concludes this video, I believe. Oh no, wait, we're still waiting for the certificate in the background to finish. So we cannot be completely done yet, because at this time it will not work yet. Which I believe I will find out any second now in the video. Ah, I noticed already that it's done. The guy in the video hasn't yet. I believe he was still patiently waiting for it to finish and doing some other stuff in the meantime. This is where he notices, I think. Anyways, I think all that is left now is to restart Nginx. Oh, good for you. You noticed in time that you forgot to edit one line. There's no word wrap, so... Yep, you downloaded the poster, yep, everything's good. Save the file. Restart Nginx. And we're done. Almost. Of course, we need to make www data user and group the owner of the HTML folder. That all seems good. Now we're going to restart Nginx for a final last time. Yeah, I believe we're done. All that's left now is to start streaming to our live server and open the web page. This is still the cache because so there it is. Now this is the poster I mentioned earlier. Isn't it gorgeous? Isn't it beautiful? Best poster ever. You're free to use it, of course. Not sure what's happening here. That's still correct. That still shows stream. All right. Now I'm going to start streaming. So at this moment I'm streaming. The statistics page should show also that I'm streaming. Yep, that's one stream incoming. From, yep, I should mark that out. First time, this might take a while. Oh, and also, by the way, keep in mind that your bandwidth is maybe an issue here, because what I did here was I tried to stream with an upload speed of 5000 kbps and at the same time watch the stream with also 5000. So that adds up to 10,000, which my connection should be able to take, but it didn't really, barely. So lower the bandwidth of your live stream if you're testing it on the same location. If you decide to stream to YouTube also or to Twitch, you can handle 3500. If your bandwidth can take it, 5000 would be even better. But if you choose 5000 and you only have a 100 Mbps connection and also want to view your own live stream, then you might run into some trouble. Depends on, of course, what sort of connection you have, but I'm babbling. This is where I test my RTMP stream through a player called PodPlayer, and I see that it works. That's why I get all these weird images, because I'm playing in the video player what I'm seeing on my screen also at the same time. But I just confirmed that that works. And there's one step left here, and that's to show you that the web page also works. Not sure what the delay is. Not sure what I was thinking or doing. Maybe if I just try again? I don't know. Maybe I was just waiting for the music to finish. That's also a possibility. I don't know. This looks good. I remember what I did wrong. I forgot to create several directories that HLS uses as sort of temporary storage location. A very essential part. And I believe I'm about to find out. Yeah, this is the point where I realize, oh yeah, I forgot to create these locations. So that's what I'll be doing in this video now. And my instructions, I added the step, but at an earlier part as we're now seeing in the video. So you should have done this already if you have followed my instructions. So you should probably not run into this issue. Yeah, what happens if you stream using RTMP to Nginx? What Nginx does is it splits up the stream, saves it on a disk, on a location that you specify. In this example, I used for -livestream.hls/hls, I mean. And if this location doesn't exist, it will not automatically create it. So it won't work. So make sure to create these folders, and also make very sure that you give ownership to www data, because that's the username Nginx uses. And Nginx is the part that's trying to write files to this folder. So yeah, like I just said, keep in mind that I recorded this video without any preparation, so any mistakes I made, I corrected them later on, and I also corrected the instructions that I posted on my website. So you should not run into these problems. Basically, I wrote a guide, and I recorded this video while testing this guide, and ran into some errors, fixed these, and the end result is this really weird video, but the instructions, they're definitely good. What I did there is not required, but I did it anyways. I gave read and write to the user as well as the group, but just giving it to the user should be enough. Okay, so you can choose any location that you want. I chose -var -livestream, which is on the same drive as the operating system. A better idea in your case may be, for example, to choose a USB drive or a other drive than the one that your operating system is running on, because it does write a lot of files and reads a lot of files to this folder when you're live streaming. And if you, for example, use an SSD drive in your server, you don't want a lot of writes and deletes and rewrites and all that, because that drastically reduces the lifespan of your drive. So a better option might be, for example, a simple USB stick, or you don't need a big drive. I use one in another setup that's a stick from, I believe, 8 gigabytes, and that's more than enough. But then, of course, you cannot, or you can mount it in -var -livestream, or you can just point your configuration files to a different location, dash whatever your disk drive will mount on. That's a word of advice. Because what happens when you are streaming and HLS is active, it reads the stream and it keeps writing that data to temporary files. Once those are no longer required, it will automatically removes those temporary files and rewrites them or overwrites them or whatever. And that's a lot of read-write activity, and you don't want that on your SSD drive, especially not if it's the one your operating system is also running on. Now I have no idea what I was doing here at this moment in the video. I believe I was just checking out certain things on my main screen. Yeah, I'm probably going to cut this part also. Yeah, oh wait, I believe I'm rebuilding the RTMP configuration part of the nginx.config file, because at the start I only added the basic configuration lines. Now I'm expanding on that. And what I chose eventually to do in the guides that I wrote is to copy paste everything that I'll eventually need. So what I'm trying to say here is, in the beginning of the video I just added a couple of lines. In the instructions I included all the lines that you might need. So you'll be pasting those right from the start, so you don't have to do any of the things I'm doing right now in the video. By the way, I added those forward stream optional lines. As you can see, it mentions Twitch, it mentions YouTube, it mentions Mixer. Those are optional. If you want to know what they do, I want to refer you to a previous video that I made where I explain how to stream and restream automatically to multiple streaming platforms at once. So that means you stream from your computer to your own live stream server, and that live stream server restreams it to Twitch and YouTube and Mixer and whatever else site you might want, all at the same time, which might be interesting if you want to stream to multiple platforms at once. But I'm not getting into that right now. The goal of this video is just to get HLS live streaming working properly, which is taking a little bit longer than I expected. Now, looking back at it, narrating it. After I was done recording this video, it felt like it took me like, maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes. But now I noticed that it took me a little bit longer. I'm very sorry about that. And I may cut out some parts later on here and there because they're just not interesting. In my previous videos, I did not include this option, but I learned later on that this is actually the proper way, or the most ideal way, to stream HLS, because I could enable HLS on the incoming stream, but it's better to push the incoming stream to a different location, in this example HLS, and then you have more options available what you want to do exactly with the HLS stream. So you could choose to push in a similar way, for example, to Dash or a different live stream server or whatever, without it costing too much extra processing power. This is where I'm checking, double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking everything. Good thing I did, because that wouldn't have worked. Well, the vibe this music is giving me is that we're nearing completion, which doesn't make any sense, but also the timeline of the video shows me that we're nearing completion. So in a couple of seconds, or maybe minutes, I will be showing you that everything is working as should. Okay, syntax is okay. One last restart of Nginx. Fire up the live stream. Show the statistics page. Yep, all good. As you can see, it's incoming and also pushing the live stream at the same time. And that should mean we have a running live stream. There we go. So finally, that concludes this narration and also this video. Hope it learned you what you wanted to learn. Hope it allows you to build your own live stream server. I did this purely out of my own benefit because I want to see you all live stream. So if you have any questions, comments, please leave them in the comment section below or on my website. And hopefully see you next time in my next video. I want to thank you all and wish you all good luck. Bye bye now.